like old times.
Yeah, I got one. I got one.
What are you gonna do? I don't know. Wish me luck.
Oh, yes, that video. It's always shorter than I expect it to be. But here we are, ladies and gentlemen. If you recognize that intro, you probably know what to expect. This is a Taylor Field, Kirklin Patzer duo cast episode. And very excited to be here today. I don't even know how to intro these days. I am not my first rodeo, Kirklin Patzer.
I am the If You Feel It, Chase It, Taylor Field.
Oh, I like your little subtitle there. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you can recognize the names, maybe not so easy this time around, but we are here to review Twisters. We of course did the long anticipated retro for Twister, and yeah, go check out that episode on the feeds. That was lots of fun to do with you, and hadn't revisited that movie in many moons, so it was fun to do that one leading into this movie here. And yeah, we're gonna be unpacking that here in a quick second. But before we get to that, Taylor Field, where can they find us?
Ladies and gentlemen, you can find us with your internet connection in the search bar. GeekVerse.ca is our home base. GeekVerseCast is our Twitter. GeekVerse is our Facebook. Be sure to check us out on the Patreon. Support us there. Get early content, ad-free episodes. Great place. But on the Patreon, Kirklin, who do we got to thank here?
Oh, we got to thank some very special people near and dear to our heart. We got our Patreon producers. That is the highest tier of the Patreon. They are our biggest and greatest supporters. We got Aaron Braden, April of Darkness, Jack Grant, Muds, Sam. Believe God Loves Me 69 is supposed to be on yeah, there you go. He still hasn't made it to the main banner, but he's in the little sub banner here today. But no, we love each and every one of you for supporting the show. And, you know, on that topic, we got our big, exciting Geek First Day happening on August 3rd. We got tons of stuff planned. It's an 8-hour event to start. We're going to be increasing that time based on any new Patreons that we get on that day. And it should just be a really fun time. We got trivia battles going on. We got a chess battle between myself and Dylan and hopefully others. I hope other people get involved.
I'll be there.
That'd be fun. Awesome. I bet you're some like hidden grandmaster or something. You're like top 10 in the world without any of us knowing. But no, that'll be lots of fun. We did our roster pick for the trivia battle teams. That was a weird way to say that. we picked the teams for the trivia battle. There you go. Team Travis versus Team Dylan. Trivia is hosted by Taylor Field himself here. So yeah, that's gonna be a lot of fun to do all that on that day. And yeah, make sure to go check it out. And even if you don't join as a Patreon, it'll just be a fun day to tune in. And yeah, we got lots of stuff planned, so it should be a fun time. With all of that being said, yes, I said we're here to talk about some twisters, some windy objects in the air, and you know, we did the Twister retro. I grew hype on this movie after seeing the first trailer. I kind of thought this one was going to slip through the tracks for me until I saw the trailer, and I'm like, man, I'm seeing this day one. Who's reviewing it with me? Taylor Field is. Taylor Field. What did you think of this movie? Spoiler free, of course, and then we'll get into spoilers.
I thought going in, I knew what this was going to be based on the trailers. I'll just say that. But getting into the movie and actually indulging in what we got to see, it was actually quite surprising. I really was connecting to the characters. And while there definitely bears some resemblance to the first film, it just felt like it was its own thing, and the CGI was great. I can really appreciate how the technology has improved since the original Twister in terms of just showcasing a tornado. But there was just a good vibe in this movie. I was really connecting to the story and just the tribulation that our main character has. And yeah, I really had a good time with this. When I was in the theater and the movie was about to start, people started clapping, and then this woman shouted out in the back, "Twisters!" It's like, whoa, okay, like this is a rowdy crowd.
That's hilarious. Wow.
So it was a good time, and I would happily rewatch this movie actually, and I wish that Madison was able to join me. She had to stay with the little one, so I saw it by my lonesome. But I want to take her to go see this. Actually, I want to go see it again in theaters. I had a really good time watching it. I'm gonna be recommending it to people, and I think Glenn Powell really stood out in this. I really liked his character, and I liked how the trailers sell you on. Can I say this? Yeah, I can say this. The trailers sell you on his character in one light, but the movie just does a great job at expanding his character and really getting to know him, know his history, and get to see how he kind of not not that he kind of turns into this specific kind of character, but he's always been just this kind of character. And then you think you assume what he is, and then it just kind of the onion layers kind of peel off, and you get to see like the real him and whatnot. It's just I think every character is really good in this, and it has a nice, as I mentioned already, a similar note to the original Twister, but it feels like it's almost the opposite Inside Out version, where it's, I guess, reversed in the sense how things in the story kind of transition. I'll explain that in more detail when we get into the spoilers version. But as far as like the music goes too, I was jiving with it. This film had some absolutely terrifying moments that scared the daylights out of me. It wasn't any kind of forced humor, but it just had these small little comedic beats that make you laugh and chuckle, which I think was great. And yeah, I think it does a lot of justice and is a real worthy successor to that first Twister.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty similar to you actually. If the listeners listen to our retro there, I was saying how happy I was that I watched that first movie going into it, just to kind of taper my expectations, because rewatching the first one, it was a much different movie than I remember it being. Not I'm not saying I was expecting aliens or anything, but I just figured that there was like a very I don't even know, like instead of it being like a science experiment, it's just like characters trying to survive from the Twister and like escape it. Like I just didn't really remember the main plot there, and at the end of the day, it is a very basic plot. Like it's just like all they're trying to do is just get the Dorothy experiment into the tornado so that they can read it, and that's all they're trying to do. And it's just that, and we're along for the ride. And I really like that movie for what it is, but I think this one is just across the board a straight up better movie. Like better character moments, better plot line. With like it definitely has similar story beats and like moments to the first one, and I liked it because it didn't feel like they were just trying to like redo it, maybe on a larger scale. It was like I took it in like they're kind of tipping their hat to that classic Twister movie, and not necessarily trying to be like a direct sequel, because it's like it's not like we have reoccurring characters or anything. The only thing that's reoccurring is Dorothy, of course, makes an appearance at some point in this movie. Maybe I'll I'll say that in ambiguity, but yeah, no, it really surprised me, like in the sense of where my expectation was going to be, just a very basic story, but it went a couple notches above that, and for that reason I was really happy for that. Shay actually came with me to this one reluctantly initially, but she hadn't seen the first Twister, and she was expecting it to just be absolutely stupid, and she said that it was much better than she was expecting it to be. I think something that really lifts this movie is the actors. I think Glenn Powell he was fantastic, but the big standout for me was actually Daisy Edgar Jones. She was like the lead character, Kate. I haven't seen her in anything. I recognize her face, and it's because like I just pulled up her IMDb after the movie, and she was in Where the Crawdads Sing. And I haven't seen that movie, but her face is just like the poster. So like I think I've seen like the poster of it so many times. So I just recognize her face for
It's a good movie
for that aspect.
She's good in it.
It's like a weird drama, like twisty one, isn't it? Or am I thinking of a different movie?
I'd say it's a drama, but it's a like a feel good kind of, not even like a thriller. It's got a little bit of romance and a little drama.
Okay.
It's not like a Notebook, but to me, I feel like it's like a Notebook in a weird
Interesting.
way, with
Okay.
a little bit of like drama added in.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to add it to the list because I loved her. I think she was like the major standout. I think Glenn Powell was fantastic, but I was expecting him to be that. there was a couple other memorable faces. Like I didn't realize David Cornsweet was going to be in this movie. Of course, our new Superman for Superman Legacy that's going to be coming
No
out.
shit,
Um,
eh?
I don't think I've
Oh.
seen him in anything too, so it was kind of fun to get him here in a very non-main role. Like he is a very side character,
He
and he's
was in
just kind of
Pearl,
playing.
apparently.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he was he's like the theater guy, isn't he? The one that's showing Pearl the movies.
Oh, you're
I think that's who
right.
he
I think
is.
that is. Yeah, the
Okay,
projectionist. You're right.
so there you go. That would have been my first experience with him. But I guess this is my first movie knowing who he is and like that he's gonna be Superman, and like he definitely has the physique of Superman. You can tell he was getting in shape for that. At least during the filming of this one, he's a
He
pretty
was like,
filled out guy. Yeah, especially in that like white dress shirt that they had him in. Like
Oh,
his
yeah.
back was just huge. But yeah, no, I liked him for what his character was. Like this is definitely not the role that I would really judge his full acting because it's just it's pretty surface level. He's just kind of an asshole. But yeah, it was fun to have him in there. A couple other ones that popped up, like we had Angel from Nope, Brandon Perea, and Katie M. O'Brien, who was in. It's funny, I forgot about her when. I think it was actually, breaking the fourth wall here just last night when Travis brought her up from. Was it Andor? When she was like the officer that was obsessed with like the
it
cloning?
was Mandalorian.
Was it Andor? Okay. So yeah, that
Yeah.
character, she popped up in there. So yeah, just like a couple memorable faces that I wasn't expecting to see. Kiernan Shipka, of course, as well. So yeah, I was surprised by the amount of faces I recognized, and definitely not all of them get a lot of time to really shine, but I still really liked their chemistry on screen. Like that's something that I really liked from the first movie, was just like the gang of misfits it was. Like Philip Seymour Hoffman's character in that is just is just fantastic. So I like that they kind of captured that camaraderie that that first movie kind of had, of just a ragtag crew of storm chasers, and this is their life, this is what they do, and I definitely think they capture that again here. And but yeah, no, I think like I was saying already, across the board, it's just a better made movie and a better movie, and I had a good time with it. I thought the humor was pretty good, and I definitely would recommend this one, especially if anyone had like seen Twister and like has some nostalgia for it. There's some scenes in here that, like I was like I had already mentioned, like it felt like they were tipping their hat to the original, and I feel like I like those scenes a lot more because I like those original scenes from Twister. So that nostalgia effect definitely was present there. But yeah, I definitely recommend this movie, and it was a fun theater experience too. I was expecting big theatrical moments because these tornadoes are massive, and of course what they're able to do back in the original Twister to what they can do now. Like I was expecting, especially I saw it in like our extreme theater, so like I wanted that big audio and be feeling like I was in the tornado. This would be a good 4D movie probably. Get the
Oh,
wind
yeah.
coming out through the seat in front of you, not the guy just passing gas, but true wind. So yeah, it was a fun time, and I'm glad we did the retro leading up to it. It was a windy adventure you and I had here, but yeah.
Well said.
Anything else to add, or do you want to hop, skip, jump over into the spoiler section of this?
Let's hop and a skip and a jump.
Confused me with that. Okay. Okay, we're gonna take our first ad break here, and then we'll be right back to unravel this Twister. So we'll be right back. All right, Taylor Field, is there any particular direction you want to take the wind?
I will kind of just highlight the reverse aspect I was talking about. So I like how the first one, you have our ragtag group of characters, and the theme is like, okay, I'm here for this amount of time, and I'm not in, like I'm out. And that's the same thing here with our main girl. She's not in for the long haul. She's just in for a quick little bit, and then she's out. But what I like is she starts off on the high tech team that's got all the crazy investor sponsorships and all that, and then she makes a jump over to the ragtag group. Whereas in the original, we see the ragtag group just trying to deal with the high tech team being kind of like the antagonists, and the high tech team are the antagonists in this movie, I would say. But I like how at least Javi kind of joins over to the good side, you could say. And that kind of like evolves from that. So it didn't
Yeah.
feel like there was really one set enemy in here. It was super shady though. You got this fucking guy who's like using the tornado to buy
That's
up
the
the
bad guy.
land.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
he's
the
the
bad.
bad
He's probably
guy.
like starting up these tornadoes somehow. He's got the Wind Waker in his hand.
Yeah, he's absolutely horrible. But I think though just the vibe was done really well of the ragtag group. It wasn't even like a full on copycat from that first movie, and I really liked that. And I really did think that Daisy Edgar's character was going to be. I can't remember what the surname was. Was it Harding in the first one?
I'll double check, but I think you're right.
I thought she was going to be related because when we saw Dorothy and when we saw the way
Yeah.
she was talking about her mom, I thought, okay, she's going to be like the kid of Bill Paxton. I can't remember the lady's name. Something like that, but that was not the case.
Harding.
Harding, okay. So she is just her own family, just a storm chaser, and I think that's cool. They didn't need to do anything like lineage wise, I reckon. So keeping it just with the Easter eggs, like Dorothy, and then the ice. I'll get you a drink, iced tea. That was another kind of like I feel like a callback to the other one. And there was one more that I noted. Oh, what was it? I can't remember it for the life of me, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny, early on in the film, yeah, this is where they have, like before the time jump, you meet like her original crew, and they're all happy and excited. Again, it's like the same energy of the ragtag crew that we had in the first movie. Before it goes all wrong, they're driving in the vehicle, and then like she gets a call from her mom, and they're all like, oh yeah, blah blah blah, hey mom, and then she's like, oh, dinner at my place after. It was funny because Shay like turns to me, she's like, oh, that's gonna come up, like, oh, like the mom's gonna get fucking murked by a tornado. I'm like, that's the exact same thing that happened in the first movie, and this is
That's
like 5
exactly
minutes
it.
in. I'm like, oh man, this is actually just gonna be like a remake. That didn't happen, so they surprised us there. A bit of a, I don't know if you'd call that a red herring, but a false flag maybe is a better term for it. So, yeah, I thought we were gonna really be treading the same path that especially that like they had this experiment. It was literally Dorothy there as well. Like they had the OG one, which was fun. I'm glad that made an appearance there, and yeah, it was. I really like the overall motivation, I guess, for our characters here. Where in the first one, I just kind of like I like the ride, but it's kind of funny to me of just how surface level, like maybe it's a bad way of saying it, just not how deep like the plot line is. It's just they just want to get Dorothy up and running so that they can just scan the tornado. Like that is all their motivation for that movie. Of course, along the way, Bill Paxton and his ex-wife get back together, but like that is their goal there. So now in this one, they're upping it, and she wants to actually be able to stop tornadoes, which I think is a lot more of a heroic venture. I guess you have to, crawl before you can walk, or walk before you can run, whatever the saying is. So they needed Dorothy in order to get to this point. So that's where it felt like a natural evolution maybe in the movies. Like it didn't just feel like the exact same thing again. It's like, okay, now we're actually going to stop the tornadoes. And I did like that goal. And I liked how it wasn't just so basic of like, okay, she loses her friends, but now I'm going to work even harder. Like it actually really shook her up, that whole event. She's really like PTSD'd from that, and you can feel that even when she goes back with Javi, and she just can't do it. Like she kind of freezes and just gets out of there, fails the first mission. So I like that was kind of weighing on her, and even her reluctance to kind of pick up the project again, because she does feel all that guilt. And I liked how there was some moments where Javi was like portraying that he's been feeling that weight, us also for him, but I wish we treaded more in that direction for him, because it like, man, poor Javi too. Like I just feel like he got major friend zoned from Kate this whole time. He's like, there was a time when I would do anything for you, and it like he's really just losing this to Glenn Powell like from the get go. Like she does not care about Javi at all.
No.
More than a friend maybe. And he like by the end of this, like he like loses his job. Like I don't really know what his future career goals are, but it seems like he was very heavily invested with this. What was it called? Storm something. I can't
Storm
remember.
Par?
Stormpar, yeah. So like it's felt like he was like the guy that. But yeah, I don't know. I guess he's on to bigger and better things, and he had the morality switch, especially when David Corn Sweat's like, I don't fucking care about the people or whatever he says. And
Yeah.
then just kicks him out, which was a funny scene because like when I was driving home with Shay, I'm like, did he just like kill that guy? Like did he just leave him in the path of this giant tornado? Like nobody, you don't see him get picked up or anything. And
I
you
think the
never
other
see that
vehicles
guy
are
again.
behind. I'm sure that he got picked up.
But like in theory, they should be surrounding it. So you would think that other vehicles are like on the corners and then they're in front of it trying to stop to
That's
like put it
true.
out. So I'm like, we never see that guy again. I think he just fucking killed him. Like it's a straight up homicide, just leaving that guy on whatever manslaughter, whatever you would call it. I feel like he is directly responsible for that man's death.
He was
and
Javi was gonna pull over and turn around, but then Corn Sweat just did the whole
yeah, exactly. Yeah, the
It's a
Man of
Superman
Steel
thing.
reference. Yeah. It's just like sees him in the with his fucking goggles on. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, that's my headcanon. That he just murdered him. And but I don't even know where I was going with that. I said a lot there. Anything you wanted to touch upon? I guess just the whole like plot of actually stopping tornadoes. Like it's just a lot more of a sell, I think, for a moviegoer as opposed to. I mean, but like I said, like I think you needed to get that first movie before you could get to this point. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the first movie did a great job at setting up the difficulty of trying to figure out when a tornado is going to form, how you're going to get in front of it, and how you're going to deploy this tub full of these little drones into the tornado to start recording the data. That's going to be very difficult and cool. So they accomplished that with the technology of their time. And now we are here. We have much more advanced technology. So what's the step up from that? Mixing chemicals into an oil drum and then shooting that up into a tornado. But also launching fireworks and rockets into a tornado too, just so it looks super, super cool. The concept of setting up 3 different, I'm going to just call them solar panels. They're not solar panels. They are basically scanning data in the tornado, but setting up 3 of these panels around a tornado, that just blows my mind. And so when they're trying to go through the motions, and there's 2 that are setting up and behind the tornado, and so Javi and Katie was her name, right?
Yeah, Kate.
Kate.
Or
Yeah.
Katie,
So
I guess.
they have to get in front of the tornado and plant it. That's just crazy to just in sync, just get all 3 of these panels set up. And so, yeah, the first go around doesn't go well. And I'm glad that they did this. I'm glad that they showed that she's suffering from just this post-traumatic stress from the intro of the movie, which we'll talk about that. And I think that it's great that they addressed it because this is a very important thing. And I would have been kind of more let down if they just threw her back into the fire here and she just totally is fine, because what she went through was pretty freaking traumatic. What she went through was way worse than your dad, like, I can't hold it, and the door blows off. Like,
Yeah.
This was much more terrifying.
3 times, right? She lost 3 friends, right?
Yes.
And one of them was holding, like, don't worry, I got you. And he
got
just fucking ripped out. I thought for sure he was gonna survive because I remember her, Glenn Powell, and then another guy on the poster. Like I couldn't remember who they were, so I just assumed it was gonna be that guy. But no, he got slurped up by the
He got
storm. That was pretty
slurped up.
shocking.
Yeah. I guess I'll just transition over to that now. They all could have gotten there so much faster if the girl didn't just, like, they were in the car, they stopped the car, and the girl's like, oh, overpasses are not safe in a tornado, and they sat there. Man, I would have been hoofing it to that
yeah.
overpass. And yeah, it's unfortunate the one guy who got struck by lightning, not in the movie, but we learned earlier on he got struck by lightning before, and he's no fun, but he just got sucked up with, like, no one knew, no one noticed. He was just gone, which is pretty unfortunate. And then the girl was next to go, which is pretty shitty.
That was shocking. Like I thought maybe just the one was gonna die, especially that the next one to go was Kiernan Shipka. Like I don't know, a more known actor to me at least compared to some of the other ones that were on there. So I was shocked there, and then it's like, holy fuck, we just lost 2. And then when you like catch your breath, Buddy just fucking gets zipped up away, and it's like, holy moly, everyone's just gone here. And yeah, that is very, very traumatic, especially that her goal was to be able to stop this tornado, right? Like that's what the best result of this experiment was going to be. And not only did it fail, but 3 of your best friends just like died right there. And who knows if they were in that like if they would have been in that position if they weren't here to help you with that experiment. So like I feel like all of that was great setup for our character here to have some weight on her shoulders. I feel like there is some moments when like we have that and then she mentions how it's weighing on her, and then there's other times that it's just not really felt like I don't know. I feel like I'm being really nitpicky with that, but there was just moments that it was felt more than others. Super minor gripe, but yeah, just something I don't know. Maybe I was expecting them to go a little bit deeper with, but I think for what we got, it was still good enough.
She gets a nasty gash on her leg too, which is just a
Jeez, man. Yeah. That's
great.
like
It's just a token of memorabilia, I guess.
There's so many moments in this movie and the first movie where like maybe they get just outside the tornado and then they like get out of their vehicle and they just like stand there, and I'm like, man, what if like a fucking penny is just in that tornado and just whips around, goes like right through your head? Like there's
Like
just
Nope.
so much yeah, exactly.
Jean
Like
jacket dropping shit.
there's just so much debris that's flipping around, and I don't know. I feel like I've never experienced a tornado, thankfully, and I'd be running the other. Like I would never be a storm chaser. That is a wild life for those folks out there. But yeah, and then yeah, Javi survives. Then we have a 5-year jump, which 5 years. That's like a running theme these days. Whenever we have a time jump, it's usually 5 years. Ever since Endgame, yeah. So and then yeah, she's living her life in New York. She gets a call from Javi shows up to her office actually, and then yeah, proposes this adventure for her. And I did like that they at least mentioned like she was just there for a week at first. Before they said that, I'm like, did she just like quit her job? She's just like back in Oklahoma. I felt like a lot of the time that maybe I was expecting it to be a bit of a shallow reason for a character to be doing something, or like a plot point. They at least answered in some way, even if it wasn't super satisfying. They at least talked about it. So like that fact, and even after the whole adventure, like she was still going to be going back to New York. I like how it wasn't just like, okay, I know that's just totally thrown away now because of just what's happening now in the movie. Although for Javi, like that, I guess sucks for him, but I guess he had the wake up moment. He didn't want to work for that asshole, right? That was just benefiting off of people's just losing their homes. Because what was his shtick even? Like he was just buying the land off.
Yeah,
of people?
she went on his website, and his website was like, "I buy land."
Yeah, he does.
But their plan was like, "Oh, the people that live in these homes, and the tornado comes in, destroys their home. They got nothing. So what does this guy do? He gives them hope because he'll give them money for their land." Which I don't know why this guy wants that fucking land. What is he gonna build there? It's just gonna get destroyed. So
just oil platforms, maybe. Who knows? You look like a bit of an oil tycoon guy. Maybe I'm just stereotyping him. I don't know.
No, he did. But we see not even the oil rigs are safe too, right? Because this tornado hit it and turned into like the super mega Thanos tornado.
Yeah, it was definitely stepping up there in that moment. Okay, and then I don't know. Whoa, you all right?
There's a fucking fly in my office. It's coming at me and shit. God damn, it's a big bastard too.
Do you have one of those electric fly swatters? Have you seen that?
No,
It's like
I gotta get one. Usually I have different. So brief side tangent. My tactic is I stand by the blinds and I have the blinds open and I wait. Usually I'm there for about 5 minutes. Sometimes I'm there for 10 minutes. I just stand there and I wait. It's the only light source that's in the house at this time because I close everything else. Eventually it'll come, it'll hit the window, and I fucking shut the blinds, and he's trapped there. Stage 2, it's a sliding window. I slide the window open, and I corral him up to the screen, and then I slam it, and then he's in there and he dies. That's the plan.
Sounds like a 1-hour adventure. Just to get
It takes a good minute.
I just picture you like camouflage too. You're like shaving your face like the guy in Predator. Like you're just totally patient.
Just dry shaving.
Dry shaving, yeah.
I'm waiting.
The Fly Hunter. Okay, nice.
The Fly Hunter, yeah. There was a thing I was gonna mention here, because we're talking about the guy buying up with land, and that's kind of where the shift happens, because you see the dynamic of Glenn Powell's team. They sell the shirts and the merch so they can actually buy food to support all the people that are caught in this horrible scenario here, which is great. I like that.
which is
Um,
like kind of like yeah, I like the idea, but it also seemed like when, when the town gets fucked up and they're supposed to be like saving people, like it did look like Buddy was like taking cash for shirts
oh,
as
he
well,
was.
like they are handing out to like food and whatnot, but then over here like they're just selling the merch, which I don't know why someone would be buying that if they just lost everything, but nonetheless,
You make a good point.
yeah.
I mean, she deduced that, so it's definitely
Yeah.
shady tactics.
Yeah, but I did like the ragtag crew. I like how they had their own little expertise, I guess, like the drone flyer, and like just all that stuff with even like the whole idea of the tornado wrangler and like just the YouTube channel. It just felt like a very modernized version of that. And like at first I was just like, what is his deal? Like what is he trying to accomplish with these tornadoes? And like why is he put like they're really like Mad Max Fury roading it to these tornadoes? And it's like, shouldn't you kind of be not necessarily working together, but just not getting into each other's way? Especially at this point, you think that Stormfront are good guys, and they're like getting this, like they're scientists, they're getting this data. So like, why are they just fucking with them if all they want to do is drive into it and just shoot off colorful flares for hits? I guess that's what their business plan is. And then shortly after that, it's revealed that Glenn Powell is a meteorologist, and there is more under the surface. So I feel like his switch up, I liked it because I liked his chemistry between Glenn Powell and Daisy Edgar Jones. Like I really liked all their moments together, but it also kind of felt like maybe that might have been like the weakest part of like their actual, maybe of his character, that it was just, yeah, this is what's happening, and then at some point he just like snaps at her for like, how can you work for that guy? And like I guess it gets revealed short, a couple minutes after that in the movie of, or no, is it actually a little bit later when he reveals what Stormfront actually is doing? Because like the first time that he just snaps at her for working with Stormfront, it just seemed really odd, and it's like, why do you even care? Like you're not invested in this at all. I guess he might be crushing for her at that point in time, but also it's not like he's a noble, like a noble guy up until like the point that it's revealed that they're helping people, but like that's not even their main goal, right? Like it's just to thrill see, get the millions of hits on YouTube. So it was, I feel like that might have been a little bit of a weaker point of the movie for me, of not necessarily what was going on, but just the explanation of it. But it's pretty minor. Like I think because of the actors and just their chemistry together, I was able to kind of look past that. And it got to a point that he was just like fully with her, and like his whole team is just like gone, and it's just like a two-person story at that point. And then he calls them back for the big tornado. But it's like, what was his buddies doing that time? Like it seems like this is their job to be like content creators, and I don't know. Again, I'm probably just overthinking it, but I'm trying to search for some of the minor gripes of it, because for the most part, I think I'm pretty damn positive across the board.
Yeah, I mean, I like their chemistry. I like their relationship. It felt out of place at times when he did turn on her, like you mentioned, like, oh, you don't even know who you're working for, chasing tornadoes for them. I think that was definitely a little bit out of the blue. And then the other thing, too, was the fact that he just showed up at her mom's house. Like, that's a little
That was very
weird.
strange.
Yeah.
And the mom didn't really like react at all. It's just like, oh, you're staying for dinner? Like they didn't even really introduce
Stay in my guest
to
room.
each other.
Like,
Which
She
I
was
did
all
love.
for it.
I did love the moment when they're leaving and he gives her the T-shirt and it's got his face on it, like, not my first rodeo, and she's just like, really? Wow, okay.
that was funny.
Just great reactions, I think, from the actors there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Speaking of his crew, the I guess the tornado wranglers, we'll call it. It was funny after their first like encounter with each other. They all just, I guess everyone's just staying at this motel after the fact. And man, this interaction, like after she says goodnight to Javi because she's just completely friend zoning this guy. She doesn't want anything to do with him. She's going to bed alone. And then she's just like immediately chatting up this hot Glenn Powell, working on his vehicle and just all over him and her crew. instantly, Taylor, I'm just like, man, this is just like the Mummy. Like they're all racing to get to
Yeah.
like the what is it, the City of the Dead.
City of the Dead, yeah.
The City of the Dead, and then they all like camp out together, and then like he's interacting with the other Americans here, and it like I was just laughing at myself. I'm like, man, this is hilarious. I'm waiting for a Benny type character to to start chirping her or something. But no, I did like the idea of it not just being Glenn Powell's team and then Stormfront. Like there was just like people that wanted to just see it, right? Like there was just civilians that they did show that they were kind of getting in the way as well and just getting themselves in danger. Like I think it's the first storm. You just see people like jumping out of their van and like getting close to like take videos. It's funny.
Tourists and all
Yeah,
that.
they show the guy with like the big iPad. Like it's just people would do that, and I'm sure people do that because they're just. It's like when you see videos of people at Banff National Park and they're just like getting close to a bear and like taking a video, and you're just like, holy fuck, man, these people, they just they don't realize reality and that this is dangerous. But yeah, I liked how that was shown, and just kind of like the little mini factions of these storm chasers.
Yeah, I agree. I think the factions was cool, and they kind of taper off a little bit when we get just Powell's group and Javi's group near the end. But yeah, I think it's a fun aspect, a fun dynamic, and it was exciting how many tornadoes we actually got in here. When you think about the first one, we got the one at the very beginning, then we got the one where they trapped their truck under the bridge. And then we get the theater scene. Great callback though, like drive-in theater and then movie theater here, and then what's it, the theater? No, there's one more after the theater scene in the original, and then that's it. This one, I mean, it was like at the beginning of the movie. Then there was like the twins. There's another one before the twins. Then there was one after the twins. I'm pretty sure. Then like the big one. Yeah, there was the one at the movie theater again. Or sorry, the Stampede. They filled it with tornadoes, and I think in this movie the Stampede was definitely my favorite. That might be a Golden Geeks for me, like nomination, because like it was scary. Like it was amping up higher and higher and higher. And again, you don't have to worry about like CGI being good or not because there are flashes of lightning. And you just see this dark plume that's just like vortex swirling in the distance, and you got the guy who's being an asshole, like, oh, he's trying to get it, like the AC's broken in his room, and his girlfriend's
I don't want to have to
like,
give you a bad review. That's how our 1-star reviews are.
Yeah, and then you get the poor counter guy, man. Oh,
It's my first day here.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Powell was trying so hard to save him. Like, don't stay down, stay low, stay low. He's like, what does he do? He's like, I got it, I got this. And he practically stands the fuck up on his fucking two legs and just gets blasted
Shane
away.
and I were laughing so hard in the theater that moment because he's just like around the corner. He's like, don't let it get me. And then he just like rips him away to the fucking heavens. And it's just like, man, what a bad way to go. This guy's been working at this hotel for like a day. He's dealing with a shitty customer. And then he just gets fucking yanked by the tornado. Yeah, that was
ideal.
That was a funny and like I was just thinking, of course, the first Twister when the dad gets ripped out. It's just
the door, yeah.
Yeah, just good I was gonna say good comedy. It's definitely not meant to be that, but that's how I took it at least. And yeah, no, I love that sequence so much. It's because my favorite scene, I think, from the first Twister is the drive-in theater scene because of the darkness and how it just sneaks up on them. And that was pretty much what happened here. And it's just so much more chaotic because there's so many more moving pieces of. Not only are they at the rodeo, and this is another thing I laughed too because they're all getting the text message, like the alerts, and then the guy gets on the mic. And he's just like, another reference here. I was just thinking of Denethor from Return of the King when he's like, flee, everybody flee, run for your life. And it's like, it's not like, okay, everybody remain calm, like get out there in orderly fashion. People are jumping in their vehicles and fucking like ramming into each other. People are probably getting hit on the road. Like it's just so chaotic. And then you have this guy on the mic just like, we're all gonna die, run! Like, it just got lifted up to like an 11 out of 10 on the intensity scale there. So I was laughing in those moments. But no, I think it was really intense too, how it ended of them in the pool there, and she's like going through the exact same moment that happened in the beginning of the film, right? Like reliving probably the worst day of her life, and then she has I loved it too because you have like the mom and the daughter next to her, and then the mom is saying like, "Don't worry, I got you." And then
I
I'm
thought she
pretty
was
sure,
gone when she said that.
I'm pretty sure. Maybe I'm just imagining this, but I'm pretty sure they actually had like the boyfriend from the beginning of the film. Like it sounded like him that was saying it, because you hear the mom say it, and then it sounds like a male voice. And I didn't think it was Glenn Powell. So if that is the case, that's a really great detail, especially that it kind of gets quieter and dark, and you're just kind of focusing on Kate in that moment. That's how I read into it, so I like it that way. Even if that's not the case, I'm just gonna, I guess, headcanon it in that sense. And I didn't think Glenn Powell was gonna get yanked there, but definitely, I liked how afterwards she was kind of like making sure he was there, like grabbed his arm, because like the last time that happened, he wasn't there. Her old beau got ripped out.
Well, I like too. Again, he's a damn good actor. He just looks so shaken up and spooked at what happened. Like
Oh,
it
yeah.
seems to me, this is just something he's never had to go through that before. He's gone in a controlled setting, and in this setting, I mean, you got no control. You gotta just hold on and hope that you're gonna pull through. But I can see there being some credit to your theory of the old boyfriend having like kind of like a voiceover in this moment. Pardon me. I had to suppress a.
You handled that well.
Yeah, thank you. I think that there's merit and credit to what your theory is, because we get that not a flashback, but we get that moment where she's sleeping, and it just happens so quickly, like out of a horror movie. Because the boyfriend rolls over, "I got you," and then she freaks out.
It reminded me of Hereditary, like not a very like specific one-to-one scene, but I feel like just the color of the room in Hereditary. There's a couple moments when like our character wakes up or like is in his room, and it's like a dream, like something fucked up happens, like if when the mom like lights herself on fire or something. So yeah, maybe I just love Hereditary and I'm just thinking about that movie too much. But yeah, that was like almost a jump scare moment for sure.
Almost was, yeah.
Okay, mate, let's take another ad break and then we'll be back to keep going. All right. What else do we have here? So we have, my gosh, what were we just talking about?
We were talking about the theater scene.
The rodeo scene.
Rodeo, yeah, not theater, rodeo.
Yeah, the theater was the big moment at the end, and I kind of found it weird that they didn't like stop the movie. Like they just had Frankenstein running this whole time, and like didn't really. I don't know. I guess it's chaotic. You don't really have time to like turn on the lights or anything. You're just running for your life. But pretty scary place to like potentially just die in. Like you just got this Frankenstein movie going as the walls are like just shaking all around you. And that tornado, man, like fuck, that was a monster of a tornado, that last one. They definitely had a big crescendo ready to go. Like I guess just the biggest ones are E5s or EF5s, whatever they were calling it. But like that felt like an EF10. Like it felt ginormous, and just the destruction that that was felt, especially seeing that on the big screen. That was something that like I was kind of expecting, that sort of like, I guess thrill is a word you could use, of just like the audio and then the visual of the big screen. So I was looking forward to that here. And I mean, as you already laid out, we do see a lot of different tornadoes in this movie, and I thought they all felt very it was just very epic. So yeah, I'm happy that delivered in the way that I was expecting.
Yeah. I think I was curious why they would send people to movie theater, and the only reason I could think of was the seats are bolted to the ground like concrete.
I think it was because it has no windows. That's what they're like. They wanted
That
something
makes
that has a
much more
basement,
sense.
and they were looking for a basement. So I guess they kind of assumed there was one in there, but it was a rude awakening, and then they just kind of. Yeah, couple of people just fucking flew right out of that place too, especially when the theater screen disappears. We almost lost Lily, I think was her name, the drone pilot, but
Yes.
Glenn Powell, like a monkey man, just like wraps his ankle around the bar and is like holding on to her. But no, he ended up saving her in the end, which was good.
Mm-hmm.
But man, a lot of people just got murked in this movie. Like I think way more than what the first movie had.
Absolutely.
Especially like when it was just going through like the towns and stuff, and man, a lot of devastation in here, and just like like I know tornadoes happen, especially in those areas. Like this is Oklahoma, right? That we're in in this movie, and gosh, stay safe, listeners, if you're out there. I know April of Darkness mentioned that she was on tornado watch, I think during one of our last After Nine. So yeah, no, it's a scary thing, especially just seeing a movie like this when I never have experience with tornadoes, just like seeing the after effect of the trail too of the tornado going through and just like literally like an eraser on a page just taking out like an entire city. It's really devastating. And yeah, I liked how that was kind of showcased here. It, like more so than just it's cool to be wrangling tornadoes, but it showed like the reality of the devastation of what the cities have. And I like that moment when it hits like the one town, and then you just see like the one person like packing up like some of their objects, but their house is like completely fucked. You have the cops that are like, we're invoking a curfew. It's like, where the fuck are these people gonna go? Like, stay in your homes that you don't have a roof or walls or anything, no running water. Like, what does it even mean? But no, definitely scary stuff. And yeah, that I think that was the first time Kate was kind of forcing Javi to like he wanted to get the device, and then it's like let's go help these people, and then he ended up doing it. And I feel like across the board, like he definitely made the right decisions when it mattered. Like there, it's not like he put his foot down. Like he definitely went there. It seemed like he was always genuinely trying to help people. So I feel like maybe we could have done a little bit more with him, but also I guess that takes away between like Glenn Powell and Kate. So I'm glad that we didn't do that, because they were fantastic together, and I really like their chemistry. And they didn't even like share a kiss or anything, right, in this movie. Like
No,
just,
and I mean,
yeah.
I would have been nice, but I'm not hurt that they didn't put it in there anyways,
Yeah.
because there was definitely some romantic tension, and I like how it ended too. Like,
I really like the ending. Yeah.
if you feel it, chase it. I like when she
Harder,
says
faster,
that to-
stronger, baby.
Yeah,
They get
and that's
DP into the airport.
DP, yeah. And that whole scene made me laugh too, because he's got to move his truck, and like he's looking out his window at her, at Kate, and then just the ticket guy like leans in, like, buddy,
That actor, man,
come on.
too.
That was great. But he drills
What are
into
you
the
doing?
concrete.
Get
Yeah.
moving. It's so
That was
funny
really
too,
good.
because I feel like that is like, I'm not an anxious person by any means, but like if I have to drop off people or pick up people at the airport, that is like when anxiety hits me, because there is always like a security guard or a cop there,
They're
just like
watching
waiting
you.
and they're watching, like they're like, okay, 10 seconds max, and you're fucking out of here.
Yeah.
So like that was a funny moment when he was like trying to get out of there, and then he just fucking drills into the ground there. And I must say, like, man, I loved his rig that he had, like all the mods on it with the, yeah, like the anchoring. He says it drills down 2 feet. I feel like that really is not deep enough, especially on like certain soil. Like if it's moist, I feel
If
like
it's just
you're
mud, you're
yeah,
fucked.
like you're just gonna like rip right out. Like I feel like it really has to go deep, but I'm able to kind of look past that. I do like the idea of what it is, and like he says he's got a heavier chassis. They got bars all around with the harnesses and whatnot, and I mean, of course he's got like outside speakers on it. He's just blasting tunes when he's ripping around wrangling tornadoes. He's got the rocket guns. So yeah, I liked all those gadgets that he had in his vehicle there. And yeah, he definitely seemed like a pro.
Yeah, I thought honestly, like, I like how he drilled at the airport. I thought he was gonna fire his rockets off, and I was like, man, this guy's gonna be arrested for like terrorism. You can't do that
Just
at an
tackle him and
airport.
take him down. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was a cool rig, and I like their trailer shopping and just everything. Like, I think it was a pretty cool setup. Javi's truck. I'm just gonna say that thing. I wonder what like model or make or brand that is, because that thing was crazy. First of all, it survived the Stampede destruction, which was nuts, and then Kate just hops in it and continues on. And then it survives the oil refiner exploding, flipping it upside down, flipping it back upright, and
That thing
drives
flipped
off.
like a warthog. That thing flipped like a warthog. You know when
Yeah.
you like you just flip it as Master Chief? That's how
Yeah.
easily it just popped right up. Yeah, that thing's immortal.
It is. So it's a good marketing pitch for that kind of vehicle.
Yeah, there you go. Go buy a Dodge Ram. I think that's what it was. What else do we get? We get the mom character, which is funny because I recognize this actress right away, Maura Tierney. I hope that's how you pronounce her name. I couldn't really remember what from, but she was in Liar Liar back in the day.
That's
She
a
was
Jim
also
Carrey one.
yeah, yeah.
I don't remember who
And
she was in that.
she was also in Semi Pro. She's kind of like the love interest to Woody Harrelson's character.
Oh.
So like I remember her, and like Semi Pro's 2008, Liar Liar's 97. So like I remember seeing her in that era. So it was kind of funny to have her here. She's definitely not a big role in this at all. And but I don't know. I did find it weird that Glenn Powell was there, but I still liked the scene of them all kind of eating dinner together and just sharing that chemistry. It definitely felt natural, and that's just where the actors were able to shine. I did laugh, however, when Kate was saying goodbye and the mom's like, "Is this it? Am I gonna see you again?" And she's like, "You know I'm gonna come back." And it's like, does she? Like, you've been gone for 5 years. You never fucking call her, and we don't even see her again. So like, for all we know, she didn't do that. She just went straight to the airport.
She's ready to go back to New York and leave,
Yeah. So I found that a little bit funny. But yeah.
You mentioned New York. You reminded me of something I wanted to throw out. Now, at the beginning, when she's working as her meteorologist job and whatnot, and the woman's giving the tour of the office to the kids, going like, "Oh, here's an E1 to E5 and yada yada yada," and the kid is like, "Could we ever get tornadoes here?" And the woman's like, "Oh no, tornadoes in New York are very rare, but here was an E1 we got a long time ago." And I was thinking, oh man, they just foreshadowed. We're gonna get an E5, just fuck up New York, and I'm gonna be ready for it. But no, we did not get that. It was all in Oklahoma.
All of New York
So-
just devastated by an
Yeah.
E10.
An E10. Holy shit.
I will say too, I loved the one line that little girl had when it was just like a reaction when she's like, "We get tornadoes in New York." Like, just I don't know what like the one line that little girl said, she just killed it. It definitely made me chuckle. She was just, I don't know how to describe it. If you saw it, you know what I'm talking about. What else do we got going on? I don't really have too much in my notes for this one. Like, the plot is more complicated than the first movie, but like at the end of the day, it is just an experiment that they're trying to just complete. They do end up figuring out that maybe it's their model, like their testing model, that was the issue. They figured
Yes.
out. I don't and there's moments when they get going on like how a tornado works. All of that stuff goes completely over my head. I feel like they even talk about that in the first Twister, and like my smooth brain is just, with the lack of ripples, is just not able to really process all of the big words that they're talking about there. But it sounded cool, and they also mentioned that like they still don't know how tornadoes are formed, which is interesting because in the first Twister retro, I was like, yeah, in '97, like that's probably makes sense that they need this like the Dorothy in order to track it. But I imagine, in 2024 we got the technology to do that. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. But the people in this movie were saying that we don't. we know it's some science, and then I think he said it's borderline religion or something. There's some factors. There's some like, I guess, a catalyst element that actually starts the tornado that they don't fully understand. And if that is the case, that's get on it, scientists. Come on, let's
Yeah, what are you
let's
doing?
start stopping tornadoes. Let's save some people, save some people's lives. I'm sure it's very complicated, and I don't and will never understand it. But yeah, no, I think the science aspect of it was, although I didn't understand all the big terms they were mentioning, I think that the breakdown maybe of what they were trying to accomplish, it was palatable, at least to me. It's
Yes.
like, okay, this makes sense the way that they're saying it. I'm just gonna trust them on the science, and that's that. I loved her little middle school science fair project thing, though.
That was nice.
That was like very, very good project, like deservedly so to win. I'm trying to think. I think I did like a fucking paper towel experiment in middle school. That was my science fair, just testing Bounty versus fucking whatever the other ones are called.
I did magnets.
Scots.
That was mine.
You did magnets. There you go.
Magnets, yeah.
We're not recreating tornadoes like
No.
she is, but I think she's like a PhD candidate, so that makes sense there. She doesn't have a podcast though, so
No, she doesn't.
step up your game there, Catherine or Kate, whatever your name is. Um,
I don't think I have anything else. I think that's covered all my notes.
yeah, I don't think I do either. I think the last thing I'll mention is it's funny as of late, and I should start by saying I have never really been a country music fan like at all. But I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm just getting closer to 30 now, and it's just things are going on that's changing in my life. I've been listening to a lot more country, just like
Nice.
on my own, and like the music in this movie, it is mostly country, and I was fucking eating it up. I loved all the music in this movie. It felt the overall vibe of what it was as well. But I'm definitely gonna be checking out the uh, the soundtrack for this one because there's a lot of tracks I didn't know about, and probably because the genre it's new to me. I'm definitely not a full country bumpkin or whatnot. There's certain country that I still don't like, but there's some country that I definitely have grown to like. And yeah, no, I like the tunage in this movie. It was good stuff.
Since I got into Yellowstone, like country just
Oh yeah.
fucking slaps. I love it. I love the cowboy life. Oh man,
Oh yeah, you
I'm
shopping at
ready for it.
Lamel's down the
I
west
will
side?
be.
That's
I
like
will be.
the Western tack store where you can get some fucking nice cowboy hats.
You're gonna get my
Like the-
spurs and my chaps.
Oh yeah, the shit
It's gonna be
kickers.
nice. Oh
Some
yeah, I'm
cowboy
gonna be
boots.
at the corral every Friday night. Uh, there's one song that they played which I had not heard this since. Had to be the original Ghost Rider with Nick Cage. It was it's Riders in the Sky, Ghost Riders in the Sky. I guess you could also,
Oh
say.
shit.
That's when it was Glenn Powell like driving in towards the storm and it was playing Riders in the Sky, and it's like,
Oh,
oh,
okay,
this is
yeah.
just badass. I'm really liking this. But you're right. A lot of the tracks definitely they slap pretty good.
100%. I guess I'll add one more thing in here. I didn't shout him out really throughout the review, but Glenn Powell is he's fantastic. I truly love that guy. Going into the movie, I knew he was going to be a rock solid performance, and he absolutely was. He's very charismatic. He's very charming. Um, very much looking like a cowboy, and naturally is, I'm sure, because I know he's from Texas. So it felt authentic, his performance there, and
Yes.
like when he first shows up and they got like the music playing and he like steps out, he's like signing autographs and everything, and like up until this point I felt like I was still expecting like a very very basic movie. It's just like, okay, this guy's a cowboy or a tornado wrangler, whatever the fuck that means, and he's just the hot stuff with a YouTube channel, and he like shows up, he's like tipping his hat to Stormfront boys, and this is like up until this point, this is pretty much like the same movie of what the first one is, right? Like we have the flashback of someone dying that's close to the character, and then when we're actually going for the chase, you meet the basically a tornado wrangler. I don't know what oh my gosh, I forget the actor's name, but basically Glenn Powell in the first movie, he's definitely a completely different character, but the way that they're introduced is very similar.
Mm-hmm.
Christian Elwes or something like that. Maybe that's
Carrie
not his
El-
first.
Elwes.
Carrie Elwes.
Carrie.
There you go. Thank you. Yeah. So similar introduction there, and it just kind of made me chuckle. And of course, he has the ragtag crew with him that are very loud and boisterous. But no, they're great. And yeah, if nothing else, Taylor Field, what do you think you're gonna give this movie?
I am going to give this a straight, probably a 9 out of 10. I'm not going to give it the perfect score, but I
okay.
really, really like this movie. I really,
Nice.
really did. It was a good time. I think it's got great nods and callbacks to the original, but like we've already discussed, it's great at just kind of standing out on its own 2 feet, which I can really appreciate. So I hope many people go and see this movie. I think that all the cast members did very, very well. I really liked it, and I liked the story that they were telling in here, and I like how it was a change up from the first one. And yeah, I think that there's just a lot of positives. If I had to label a con, I mean, it's not a perfect movie. That's what I can say about it. But the con would probably be just certain things with the relationship between Glenn Powell, like, and not necessarily the relationship with him and Kate, but I guess like while he's just showing up at the parents' house, like that's kind of weird. Just a couple like weird little things, the way this, and like you mentioned too, how he turns on her, like, oh, you don't even know who you're chasing tornadoes for and all that kind of stuff. Just some weird motivations, but they're very, very minor. This is a really good movie, and I think majority of people are really, really going to enjoy it. It's going to get shafted, unfortunately, when Wolverine Deadpool releases next week. But
Yeah,
I mean,
everybody go see it now.
yeah, go see it now for sure. So I hope it has a good box office run because this movie is fantastic.
Yeah, I'm with. I have low hopes for the box office. My theater was more packed than I was expecting, at least. And I forgot to mention it earlier, but Taylor Field, I had my first ever like smelly theater experience,
Oh,
and I was
no.
like getting, what was it, Lego Movie, or what one was it that
Lego
you're
movie.
the
Lego
kid was
movie,
farting,
yeah.
and yeah, this is, what is this movie, like PG-13 rated? They say a couple swear words, some blood on it, so probably in that vein. And there was, like I was sitting kind of off center in my usual row, and then a couple seats over was I think a mom and like a younger child. I'm not gonna like, probably definitely sub 10. I don't know exactly, but fairly young. And like, it's not like this is an R-rated movie or something. Like, I think you can bring a child like that to it, but it got a little bit like she had to like basically explain a lot of stuff that was going on. And like, I'm usually very patient when it comes to like little kids in theater, but like she was just like explaining like, yeah, that's his friend and blah blah blah, and like just saying it at like bad times too. Like, it would be when the movie's like quiet and you can just hear exactly what they're saying.
Oh, no.
And then yeah, I started smelling some farts next to me, and I'm like, oh my god, this is just totally bringing down some of the experience here. But I wanted to share that because I know you have a legendary smelly theater experience yourself.
You know
I
what?
feel like you've had a string of actual like bad theater experience. What was it? Jigsaw, buddy on his phone the whole time.
Oh yeah, just sitting next to me. He's just texting. His phone was on full brightness, and he's like, just like making noises and shit.
Big
And
noises.
yeah, just I don't necessarily blame the kids. I blame the parents, because like for the Lego movie, my shirt was up over my whole face, and I looked to make eye contact with the mom, and the mom was totally ignoring me. Like, yes, you gotta own up to this shit as a parent.
They're just so
No,
used to it. Their nose is just like
they don't smell
cauterized
anything.
from
Yeah.
smell. Yeah. But yeah, no. Getting back to my overall thoughts, I think this was, a fantastic time. I had a fantastic time with this movie. I think this is a really, really great time. I'm excited to rewatch it when it comes on streaming, because I think there's some fun moments. But really, the big standout to me is Daisy Edgar Jones, like the lead there, just because I hadn't seen her in anything before, and she very much is the lead of this movie. And I thought her acting was fantastic, and Glenn Powell was a fantastic counterpart to the story with her. And yeah, like the characters is kind of what surprised me. Maybe how much I got kind of invested in their motivation and goal, and just for them to conquer that, especially seeing what she went through in the early portions of the movie. And then the fact that it was able to surpass my expectations on the actual plot of her wanting to shut down these tornadoes as opposed to just measure them. So yeah, I liked the journey. I liked what the motivation was, but I also liked the journey. I liked the ride along the way. The action was fun. There was some definite tense moments. I feel like the movie might have, like, it definitely could have been a little bit shorter, because it seemed, especially with like maybe some things between Javi and Kate, it seems like we went half in that direction. And if we're not going to go the full way, I almost just wish we didn't really do that. But you do need to have, I guess, him have that tie with her because he was one of the original friends. So I don't know how you would clean that up really like easily without adding a lot more runtime with it. So I think for what it is, it's definitely fine. And then so yeah, I think I'm gonna give this one an 8.5 out of 10, not quite a 9. I feel like just because when those moments happen where, like, whether it was Glenn Powell like snapping on her really quickly, or maybe like a lucky type thing, or like, oh, of course she just still has a bunch of these barrels with like this chemical to shut down these tornadoes in her mom's cabin. Like, of course that's just still there for the experiment. Like, I'm pretty okay to look past that stuff, but I feel like when they just like compiled and maybe those moments also just kind of happen at a similar part of the movie. Like I felt at the beginning of the third act, that's where it was starting for me at least to be like I feel like head scratching is a bit extreme because it's like
Yeah.
at no point was I like what the fuck are they doing? But it was just like, oh, this is weird. Like I felt like they had me very smooth, and then they kind of got jaggedy. Like we had a couple potholes, but then we recovered afterwards. So if we didn't have those moments, I could definitely see this being like a near 10 experience. Honestly, like I had a fantastic time with it. But yeah, 8.5 I think is entirely appropriate. And man, Daisy Edgar Jones. I'm very excited to see what happens with her next. And I don't know, maybe a little bit of a spoiler for a certain draft pick. Maybe she might be appearing on the next one. I don't know. She's fantastic. And yeah, I'm excited to see what happens next with her career. As the great She would say, you know, we'll be following your career quite closely. I think that's the third time I've said that this week.
It applies.
Yeah, exactly. This guy's going to be staring at her.
In the cave. Tornadoes outside. That's why he's in there.
He's in a safe spot. He's in the
He's
cave.
in a safe spot.
exactly.
Yeah, he's in his bunker.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for going on this twist and ride with us. Taylor Field, thank you for joining me. And until next time, it'll be windy.
Bye-bye.